I'm the only one on stage. I feel awkward. Hi!
Oh, I see. Well, this was fun.
Hey, everyone.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the MapMakers panel here on Cubed. Pleasure to have you here watching. We have some fantastic mapmakers today, and they should reveal themselves right about now. So all of you come on out. Hello. We've got Dragon Master, we've got the Blueman, we've got mcfilms, Sparkour, Legobros, Jayjo Hill, Flamingosaurus, and Jayjo, and myself. My name's Happy, aka TheHappywheels1. So, all of you'd like to introduce yourself, starting with you, Dragon Master.
Well, I'm Dragon Master 95. I'm mostly doing models and data packs for maps and mostly party games and mini games.
Blueman?
Hello, I'm the Blueman. I make parkour maps. I made a Blockception parkour and parkour with me.
Got mcfilms as well?
I'm mcfilms, yeah, and I like to build. It's pretty fun building, I say so, and there's a lot you can do with it.
Got Mr. Sparkour.
Hello, everybody. My name's Sparkour. I place cubes in Minecraft. I make maps by myself that don't get any attention whatsoever. Yes.
Lego Bro!
Hello, I'm Lego. I mostly work with raycasting lately, and I've made a map called Space Aces, which is kind of like a Team Fortress 2 ripoff. But yeah.
We've also got Mr. Jayjo.
Hello, I am Jayjo Hill 2. I am probably one of the only map makers in this community from New Zealand, and I made Disaster Star, a game that's an element of chaos, just like me. I'm a bit nuts, and I have a problem with talking too much.
Then, of course... Oh. Then we've got Mr. Flamingosaurus.
Hi, everyone. I'm Flamingo. I make minigames sometimes. I do other experimental stuff. I like programming and game design.
And finally, but not last, hang on, you are last. What are we saying? Last but not least, Mr. Jayjo.
Hey, I'm Jayjo. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I was last, but I'm just a small developer for a small freelance team called Team Scripted. Recently released a map called Skyscrapers, and it's pretty awesome, if you haven't seen it already.
All right, so yeah, we've got some pretty good map makers here. As I say, I will do a quick introduction as well. My name's Happy. I do some Minecraft maps, mostly unfair maps, and I'm nowhere near as talented as these guys, so if you're looking for Minecraft maps, these are the guys that you are wanting to get your maps from. So, we're just going to talk about some general things today. We're going to be speaking about Minecraft maps, how to get into maps, looking into the history of the map makers that we have on the stage today. So, we're going to start with that. Going from left to right on stage, we're going to go through the past year for our map makers. So, Dragon Master, what was your last year like of Minecraft map making?
Well, due to being in university and the last year of university, I didn't have as much time, though I remade one of my first maps, basically. At least one of the first that got to Minecraft Realms, which was Pumpkin Party. And it was a Halloween minigame, party game with costumes, and we went from like 10 costumes up to 64.
And how was that process? Because it was an original map of yours, so you had to recreate everything from scratch, I should imagine?
It was an update from 1.12 to 1.16, so the whole comment system had to be updated and made anew, basically, because all the comments changed, and all the costumes had to be made anew, too.
And did you find the command change easy to learn, or was that something that took a while to learn?
Between 1.12 and 1.13, it was rather easy for me because I was just getting into comments at 1.12, so I wasn't that used to the syntax anyways.
Okay. And next up we have Blueman. How's your past year been?
So this year I started making map again because I stopped for like 1 or 2 years. And I made Blockception, which was my first map of the year. It worked really well, so I made another. It worked also really well, so I made another. And I also make other map like Parkour with Me and Ghost Run.
And with those maps, what sort of ideas do you get? Because you do the whole, with your Ghost Runner and your Parkour with Me, you use armor stands and you sort of track yourself playing the map, and then anybody can race against you. Talk about that. How do you make that work?
So that's a little bit complex to make because it uses a lot of command blocks and a lot of scoreboards. The basic idea is that I store the position while I was playing, and then I can put the armor stone at the right position.
Interesting. mcfilms, you're up. Talk about your last year.
Well, my last year, I was working on, I guess, one project really, which was a rematch. Basically, that was kind of a whole year-long project. I've been kind of busy with school and stuff, but for the most part, I think it turned out really, really nice. And I had a couple of people came along from our team Scripted, such as Jayjo and Flamingo. But yeah, overall, it turned out to be a great map, I think. The builds turned out fantastic on my end, I think, and overall, I've been really happy with it ever since I got it out. Other than that, I'd say I just been working on my building skills on a different private server and just kept on expanding on it.
And do you use tools to build, or was it all hand built?
Oh yeah, for sure. Tools. If it was all hand built, it'd take me years, honestly. So tools are a must need if you're ever building.
Absolutely, and we'll touch base on that more later. Sparkour, what about you? How's your past year been?
My past year has been fantastic, fan-fluffantastic, might I just say. I spent the past year working on around 6 games, and I've released 3 of them to the public. Yup, very, very, very cool. Yes, game. Very yes.
Very yes.
Yes.
Anything else you want to add to that? No, cool.
Nope,
Lego
that's
Bro.
about it. I made games.
This last year, I've been probably a little bit unproductive, but I've mostly been updating my older maps, and lately I've been working on constructing a team. So I'm really glad to be working with very talented other map makers, and hopefully we can make something pretty neat.
Okay, sounds cool. Jonto, what have you been up to this year?
Yes. So basically, I kind of really got into map making in the past year. I was very on and off and very experimental, like in the really early days, like back in 1.5 or 6, right? I've done it for like that long, but I haven't really been into it as much as some of these guys for that long. But it's not that hard to learn once you get used to it. And I kind of flipped it into Minecraft Realms with the Silent Heist, and then I made Disaster Star, which is shamelessly based off that old Green mini game that is gone because server died. I made that. It got really popular over time. People really liked it. I then made Beastly Betrayal because I like games where people mess with each other. There's a reason that there are items that encourage you to kill other players in Disaster Star for no reason other than it's funny. And then I made Beastly Betrayal, which was my first time getting into resource packs and making custom sounds and voice acting in my own maps. And then I rewrote Disaster Star, and it's been pretty crazy, honestly, the amount of connections I've made. Like, all the YouTubers that I've seen play the maps of various sizes, and then within the year, now I've just ended up on this panel because of all the connections I've made in this community.
Oh, well done to you. Sounds like a busy year. Yeah, great. Well done to you.
Yeah, I'm pretty busy this week.
Yeah. Flamingosaurus, what about you?
So about a year ago, I released Sprint Racer, which was a remastering of a map I made called Mario Kart in Minecraft. So we had to take all the copyright stuff out to put it on Realms. So what that involved was taking our code, which was in 1.12 command blocks, and making it run on functions in 1.13. So that was a interesting process. And as a result, I think it turned out a lot better.
And what's it like making maps on Realms?
Well, I don't know. Is
it much different to making normal maps? Because, I mean, there's a bunch of people here that probably have never made a Minecraft map before.
Yeah, it wasn't that different for me because there was very little input from the team. Like sometimes they'll give you a lot of feedback. For us, they gave me little to none, so I thought that it was just fine.
Must be a good sign then.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then I've also Oh, I also helped finish Rematch with Team Scripted.
Ah, yes, so you did. Jayjo, you've waited long enough. How's your year been?
This year has actually been pretty terrific due to circumstantial reasons. Glad to have been assisted in the huge Rematch endeavor from Team Scripted, as we've mentioned multiple times. And then to finally see that being advertised by people like the awesome guys at StickyPiston, it's been an awesome adventure. And then further on, as the year went on, I've been helping build some things for my friend in the marketplace, just generally getting my name out. And recently I finished a map called Skyscrapers, which I said like 5 minutes ago, but just reiterating the awesomeness of this year. We've gotten a lot done and it's been super cool.
Sounds good. And all of these map makers, as I say, very good map makers, done a lot this year. And then there was me. Then there was Happy. I haven't done too much this year. As I say, I do make Minecraft maps, but definitely not to the same amount nor frequency as these guys behind me. But I've done a bunch of unfair maps. I say a bunch, not this year. I've probably done 2 this year. You probably know unfair maps from me, like Unfair Cactus. I think Unfair TNT is another one that you may recognize. I'm very good at making people not want to play Minecraft maps, whereas these guys are very good at making people want to play Minecraft maps. So, speaking of Minecraft maps, we sort of touched base on this a little bit, but collectively, you can all answer this one. First-time map making advice. What sort of advice would you give for first-time map makers?
Don't start too big. Start small.
One of the best ways of learning the different techniques is just experimentation, really. I think while some people in the community are a bit sick of unfair maps, I will admit it is a good way to just test out fun tricks that you can teach yourself to do. Like just being able to see what you can pull off with whatever your knowledge is with commands and stuff. Because it's just experimentation. You see what works. Disaster Star came from a lot of that. There was a lot of experimentation with making that game. But yeah, in fact, Disaster Star is so unfair that it gets its creator killed. Yesterday's stream, I only lived for like 3 rounds.
Oh dear. Anybody else have any
Very
input?
random.
I got something.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, go for it. Go for it, Sparkour.
I'd say don't be afraid to experiment, especially if you are running low on ideas, but you really want to make something. Seek inspiration from other people's games, and just look around for what other people have made and try to make something based off of another person's game, even if you don't have any ideas. Because the more you, even if you are replicating somebody else's game entirely, which I don't suggest anyone do. If you're replicating somebody else's game, at least you're learning about how that game functions in the process of doing it. And the more you learn and the more you keep practicing building games and that sort, it makes you feel happier. It makes you feel like you're getting something done, and it really motivates yourself to just constantly be doing something around it instead of hitting a roadblock.
It's not necessarily a bad thing to try and take an existing idea, especially if you can find a way to add on to it, right?
Yeah.
Like Disaster Star, you know where that comes from.
Yeah.
Most people know. I mean, I didn't even know the Roblox one existed when I was making that. But I've added my own things onto it, my own ideas for disasters, and the whole system of being able to mix and combine them and just to give yourself make the game worse for you. But hey, that's part of the fun. And I will also suggest there's sites like MC Stacker and things that can help with things that are commands that are kind of hard to write for people who don't know how the syntax or just some of the NBT or JSON data works, especially with tell raw and NBT data. The normal commands are fine, but NBT data and JSON can be a bit hard to learn, and they can just help you generate those bits of text. They're really helpful, and there's no shame in using those sites, honestly.
I mean, people think map making is all about just using your own knowledge, and if you don't know it, then you don't know it. But there are a lot of map making communities out there that will offer to help you. I mean, you've got Discord server communities, you've got, like you said, Jonto, you've got MC Stacker, and what was the other one that you said?
There's other. I think there's someone. There's
Minecraft tools. Minecraft tools.
That's a solid one.
Yeah, but some are
there's a lot of
outdated.
things you can. Yeah, but there's a lot of things you can do with it. It's also really, the interface is pretty good. Like tell raw, signs, books, and not all of it works perfectly, but a lot of the big things like tell raw works beautifully. It has a really good thing there in the title. But yeah. Other map makers are pretty good at helping on that. Like, just want to experiment, you have ideas, go on to MC Stacker and summon the dumbest mobs you can think you can come up
do
with.
that.
Because it gives you a list of everything you can do, right? You're gonna have summon giant phantoms or giant slimes or
Slime tornado.
or kamikaze a kamikaze cow because it has a TNT on top of it. I don't know.
I mean, anything's possible really in Minecraft. You just gotta know how to do it and have the imagination. And if you get the ideas, then you can pretty much do anything. Okay, another collective question then. Thanks for your input on that one. 1.17 is coming out soon. We know it's coming in 2021. Snapshots are already out. How do you think 1.17 is going to affect map making with all the snowier snow and the cave update, the new blocks? And who wants to take a start on that one?
I feel like we don't really know yet, other than the fact that they've completely changed or just, removed the replace item command and replaced it with /item, which is just a pain. But I feel like we've all collectively learned to accept that just happens. But I don't think we know enough about the update. Like, are they going to increase the height limit or something to do with the terrain? I mean, every single update we'll find something to make use of with the new mechanics, really.
Mm-hmm.
Anyone else want?
I got something. Oh.
Go on, Lego.
I'll go ahead. Thanks. I think that almost every update adds a few new commands. Like almost at the very end of 1.16, we got the /attribute. And no matter what, a new command is always welcomed to MapMakers. It might seem very niche, but there's always a use for some commands, and we always look forward to what we can do with new commands.
That's a command that allows us to give players momentum.
I mean, the item comment, for example, while it might be a pain to update the old maps again to change the replace item to the item comment, it might also lead to a lot of new things we can do, especially with data packs that are supposed to enhance vanilla survival, where you can now access the item in the player's hand and edit it, which you had to do with really roundabout ways before. I mean, it's still a bit limited, but
I still will mention that people are also just making like things that can just comb through your whole data pack and just fix it for you, so you don't have to do it manually, which is pretty nice. So it's not that big of a process to fix it.
Yeah, since the old functionality is still there, it's not too much of a change in this case. So not as much as 1.12 to 1.13.
Yeah, it's like I was about to say, like it's not like 1.13 where they broke literally everything. But hey, it was worth it because that command is great.
And something else that's been mentioned a lot during this panel already is data packs. Now, a lot of people love using data packs. Some people just can't get them. I am talking about me, by the way. Hi. But what are the benefits of using data packs over command blocks? Again, collective, anybody can answer.
You can see all the code at the same time.
One at a time.
You can see all the code at the same time. So instead of looking at each command block individually, you can have a view of multiple command blocks at the same time, and it's easier to search through it.
Anybody else?
Also, another reason is that they are way more optimized because it's not to do with a physical block in the world. There's no redstone or anything. You've got none of that. It's not causing block updates to happen. So it's just all running out of a text file. And again, also they don't have the command blocks themselves don't have to be in a loaded chunk for these functions to work. So they're not a physical object in the world. Also, you begin to learn the logic of how every command in the function will run in order on the same tick, and you can make some really complicated processes and maths and whatever happen really quickly.
Flamingosaurus.
Learn that logic.
Do you have anything else to say on that?
Yeah, it's also really useful that you can use the add-s selector because you don't have to iterate over all entities each time you want to do something with a specific entity. So you just run a function from a data pack once as that entity and then just use add-s all the time, which is a lot of performance boost actually.
Yeah, I'll explain. Yeah, so @e,
a bit complicated.
checking through all the using @e checks through all the entities generally, so that can get really performance. So what he means is like you can use execute as entity, and that will run the following command as if that entity ran it. But what will happen if you run a function as that entity, then it will run. Then the entire function will just get run as that entity. So @s. So yeah, you can put multiple @s thingies in a function and then just run it as an entity. So very good optimization. I've learned a lot of things in the past year about that.
Data packs are also useful because you can do changes really quickly. You don't have to search for that one comment that is in one of the comment block lines. You can change tags you don't like anymore or were far too simple. Like if you name a tag timer and then you find out I need another timer and I don't want to call it timer 2, then you can rename the old timer to something else with just Control F or something, like search and replace.
Yeah, it's I forgot what I was going to say. Yeah, but
I've got something small.
using
if you this I didn't know about for like a year into using data packs. I was using a app called Notes on my computer to type up data packs with. And if anybody's getting into data packs, I highly recommend downloading a free app called Visual Studio Code, and then you can install plugins that change the script text to like the same colors you would see in a Minecraft command block. So it really helps when typing to know that the script itself knows what you're typing is going to work instead of typing just black text that you have no idea if the machine is okay with or not.
You also the one thing about functions is that if you write any of the commands in a function and the game doesn't understand because you've written it wrong and so it can't run that command, the entire function just essentially does not exist until you fix it. The game will not acknowledge its existence. You'll type /function and the autocomplete thing won't register it.
It won't even tell you where you went wrong. It just won't show up.
Yeah, this is why you have to frequently check which of your functions are valid. But
that being said, it is superior to command block stuff.
in basically every way.
The output log tells you exactly which line it doesn't like. It tells you this file at line 8, position 7. I don't know what this means. That's basically what the comment block says. The output log.
I forgot what else was good. Also, we'll point out to anyone who doesn't know, the data packs aren't functions aren't the only thing that they can do. Obviously, you can have custom advancements and all that. It's in the same data pack as one that has functions. So, just throwing that out there. There's more.
And recipes and other stuff.
Yeah. I mean, if that's not going to make people use data packs, I don't know what will. Because I think at this point, I think you might have turned me. I think I might start using data packs now. So,
I hope so.
2021. The idea of functions isn't too hard to grasp. I will also give another tip. So people who get into data packs will probably pretty quickly learn that there's a tick that tick tag that you can tag certain functions to run every tick. My recommendation: only have one function under that, because if you do the function command within a function, it will run that function first before doing the rest of the commands after that. So what you can do is you can also use like execute if something to make those functions only run under certain conditions, which means you can optimize it so it doesn't have to run functions it doesn't need to. Okay. That's what Disaster Star does. Every tick it checks for which disasters are active, and it will run the functions that go with it.
So we're going to go over some specific points now from each of you, starting with you, Blueman, about using commands. Go into more detail.
So when making a map, you should really use command because that improves the map a lot. For example, a parkour map, you could kill the player when she is out of bound. You could also add checkpoints and everything that you can add with command will improve the map. For example, a little sound or anything like that.
Okay.
And
go on.
Yeah, command really make the map better.
I agree with you. And Jayjo. you want to talk about commitments to map making? Obviously, it's a pretty big thing. You've got to be pretty committed to doing it. How do you sort of balance that?
Yeah, it's definitely a bit of the complicated process. Map making itself, it's super fun. That's why I'm here. And all these guys up here are super smart. But being able to create a map takes a lot of perseverance. I can throw away minigames ideas in my head all the time. I can just think of minigames. I can think of ideas while I'm showering, while I'm sleeping. The entire process of minigame making is how you're going to commit and finish it, which, in all honesty, takes a bit of dedication. But on the bottom line, I can tell you is just do not give up when you're making a map, because you can find times it could be annoying. It's just bug testing. Oh, I got to do more on the map. Hey, there's code. I don't know what to do. I got to ask my friend. It's a long process. I can tell you some of the maps I've made taken about a month of development and actual testing before we can actually patent it. But one of the most satisfying things of being a map maker is actually finishing our creations and being able to sell them off, which makes all the perseverance, all the hard work, all the doubt worth it, in my perspective.
Definitely, I think the end product is always the best thing when making anything, especially Minecraft maps.
I will add that it is pretty daunting when you have nothing and you're just starting from scratch, but it's a lot easier to continue working on it once you've started.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely.
If I might add something.
Sure.
It's good if you follow your ideas, but if it's far too big, you might need to reconsider the idea. Like, I speak from experience. I'm trying to recreate Mario Party.
Oh boy.
It has 50 minigames.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I found myself in a similar boat making Mario Kart and Minecraft. I shelved that map for 2 years and then came back to it and finished it.
Yeah, it's not like you can't get back to the ideas, but if they're too big, you might want to just stop and consider doing a smaller one first, especially if you start out.
Yeah.
And especially
like
if you're
we were
by
saying.
yourself.
Yes.
Highly recommend starting small.
No, I recommend starting small as well. I mean, something we spoke about earlier, unfair maps. Yes, I mean, they do sort of plague the map making community quite a lot. I will take credit for that.
That's as small as you can get.
That is, it's as small as you can get. Definitely, if you're looking to start into simple map making, I sometimes use the word simple lightly because you can make very advanced unfair maps. But if you want to definitely try something, I think it was said earlier by one of us, definitely try map making, unfair maps. Pretty simple concept, just make everything the unexpected. And I think do we have a stage bomber? Yes, we do.
Yep. How did you get here?
How did you? Hello. Well, you know what I say. The show must go on.
Welcome. Thank you for becoming a map maker. Nice to have you.
Oh yes, I'd love to see what maps you make.
All right. Do you want to just go into orbit? Or do you want to just get set to orbit at Mach 7?
They're rather suspicious if I'm not gonna lie.
He says he nodded.
All right, so yeah, everybody become a map maker. Compete with HappyWheels1 by starting off with a very easy unfair map.
I see how this is going, Sparks. I see you.
I mean, all you need is like 8 paper and a compass. You're a map maker.
Oh, wow. Hey guys. Real advice from Jonto right there. If you want to be a map maker, that's all you need. Bit of paper.
Compass.
And a compass. And you got a map. You're a map maker. That's how we do it. That's how we start off. Right? Okay. Lego Bros. Things, we're going to start with you on this one, and then we're going to open it up collectively. Okay. Things that Mojang could add to Minecraft to make map making better or easier or more advanced.
Okay, so the biggest thing right now for Java map making specifically is like, why does Bedrock get all these fancy features and like they don't get over to Java? There's kind of like, it's almost making it's slightly or quite a bit different between Java and Bedrock. And so a big thing that would make Java map making a lot more fun is porting over a lot of the things that you have in Bedrock. So like the ability to make entities and the fancier models that you can do and changing entities' behaviors. That would be super powerful. And we can make more complex mini games that are more efficient too. But some of the other things that I was thinking of were sometimes we make some really fancy command contraptions, but then they're really laggy. So being able to view the lag caused by individual commands, I don't know how this would be set up, but some way to gauge how laggy a certain function or whatever is. And then colorblind mode for maybe if you want to make your map colorblind friendly, maybe there's just a setting in the visual settings that you can just turn on so that you can emulate what it's like to be colorblind, so that you can help make maps that are helpful and playable to colorblind people.
I think accessibility is quite a big thing at the moment, especially with things like websites and everything, really. So we're going to open this up collectively, see what you guys think as well, because I think some others had some ideas of things that could be added. We'll go left to right. We'll start with Dragon Master. What do you think could be added?
I mean, some things were already mentioned, like custom entities would be really nice to have.
Yeah.
So I don't have to use a ton of armor stands to imitate an entity all the time.
Mm-hmm.
It also would make sense for the AI changes, since it would allow us to make custom AIs, which is currently a bit of hard-coded. Teleport here, teleport here, teleport here. If he's there, teleport there. It's a bit weird to do and very static at the moment. So definitely something I would want, and maybe
100%.
a bit less limitations on the block models.
Okay, interesting. Blue Man?
The thing I want is a command to place structures in the world instead of using a structure blocks and placing a whetstone block on it. That will really help. And they added this feature to Bedrock, so I would like it.
Yeah, I mean, that would help out a lot, because, I mean, I actually tried using the structure block recently, and it was only to import a logo, but it was like, I'm sure you never had to place down a redstone block on it, so having the ability to use commands would be really interesting and make things a lot easier. mcfilms, you're up.
Yeah, I'd say honestly, make tools in vanilla. Make all the plugins that people use all the time building in vanilla. It'd be so much easier. It wouldn't be any painful. It'd be such a great thing that it could add.
Interesting how we're all collective on the idea. I mean, what about the rest of us? Sparkour, legobro. I mean, you've already answered Lego, but Jonto, Flamingosaurus, Jayjo, are we all agreeing on that?
Yeah. It would be nice. Dragon Master just kind of vanished and reappeared.
Yeah, it kicked me out.
Well, welcome back to the stage, Dragon Master. So now we're going to talk about game design.
Wait. I'd like to add something. All right, hold up.
I've got more as well.
All right.
Go on, Spot.
Listen up. Okay, so I know that you can have a carrot on a stick in your offhand and detect for right clicking depending on where your selected hotbar slot is. But I need Mojang, the people who run in Minecraft. I need something in vanilla to detect for when players are directly touching a button, whether it's on their keyboard or mouse.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
That's what I was gonna say. Yeah.
Input detection
I'd
would be
love
great.
that.
That is a big
That
one.
would be
Definitely,
an amazing
yeah.
feature.
That would
It's
be
like if somebody
that would be
presses M
great.
on their keyboard, I want to be able to detect it.
I will point out the one complicated thing is if people like rebind certain things on their keyboard and your controls rely on the placement of those keys, that might be a bit weird. So I think it would just be the inputs, not directly tied to the keys instead.
Yep.
But yeah,
Like in the
that is-
terrors, basically.
yeah. Also, something I think would be really good is a command that would allow you to give players or entities momentum in a certain direction or towards something, because you could add a whole lot of like players along with what you've suggested. You could add a lot of like really cool movement games where you could, I don't know, like grapple onto something and you could use that momentum to pull yourself towards that thing. Or
Microsoft add grappling hooks. This is all we're asking. Come on.
Because I've seen people add like grappling hook data packs, but what this would allow you to do is say you're grappling onto this thing, right? You're pulling yourself towards it, but let's say you let go early, you still have that momentum, so you can just send yourself flying on purpose. That is just.
That's interesting.
Mwah.
Does anybody else have anything else to add?
In the chat.
I also point out, just real quick before I forget, what legobros said about how there's a lot of Bedrock stuff that isn't in Java. I will point out it's a two-way thing. The execute command is basically its primitive form in Bedrock, and the Snow Teams NBT data you can't like make it summon a creeper that's both charged and exploding, which you can only do one, which is weird. If that kind of functionality happened in Bedrock, then I would literally be able to port Disaster Star onto Bedrock. But as it stands, I can't, and all the requests I've got, I just no.
Yeah, well, we're going to be coming back to you in a minute, but we're going to go over to sparkour now to talk about out of bounds areas, which I think was mentioned slightly a little bit earlier, but out of bounds areas, yeah. Floor's yours.
So everybody now, let me just say, everybody hates parkour maps where you fall into the void and then you have to wait 3 seconds for your character to die. You need to establish in most minigames an out of bounds area, whether that is whether you're intending on people falling off the map or not being able to go too far. You need to have some sort of walls to contain the players in most cases. But I don't think anybody likes it if there is an abrupt, just straight up obvious wall. You want to have a good connection between your playable area and your skybox or outside areas. And so there are two small little talking points to this little segment here. One, out of bounds detection. You want to be able to make sure that when players walk out of bounds or get out of bounds, they're either warned to go back in or immediately teleported back in, but that doesn't disrupt gameplay. They aren't killed immediately unless it's vital to your game. If it's like a parkour map, they should just teleport back to their checkpoint, not die and then have to hit a button that says respawn. Or if it's if say you're going out of bounds in like a battle arena that's constantly closing in, like Fortnite or the survival games maps going around, you don't want players to immediately die if they leave the playable area, and you don't want to teleport them back in, but give them a warning, give them a heads up, something visual and audio. And I'm sure people could add to that. I'm gonna jump over to the second little talking point, which is you don't want to have a giant like black or red wall indicating where the end of an environment is. Even like having a giant void and then more land later, that's all right. Having barriers, I'm personally not a fan of it, but it makes games so much more appealing if the land looks like it keeps going and players can tell they can't get to the other side. If you can meet that little in-between area where players know there's an obstruction there and they can't continue going that way, but it doesn't look like the environment completely ends at that point, you're making a great game. Thank you.
Thank you. Does anybody else have anything else to add to that? Then we shall move on. Jonto. Hello.
Okay, my turn. Hello. So yeah, I've learned quite a lot about the thing of map making. One thing I'd like to point out is that map making can get really tedious, and coming from someone with ADHD, I know that's not easy to just holding an attention span on something unless it's a hyper focus, but like it gets really tedious, especially the early points where you have to literally make the gameplay loop actually function at all. But God, is it worth it? It is really, you just have to persevere and not, but it can be tedious, but it can also be fun. It doesn't have to be fun the whole time you're making it, but if there's times where you definitely feel like you're having fun making it, it's probably going to be fun to play. Then you've got to, and there's lots of things. It's like Disaster Star, people love that game, and yet it is just brutally unfair. Like, it is more unfair than an unfair map because I made the game and it still kills me. But people don't seem to care because it's designed around the idea that it's all chaotic and nobody really cares if they die that much. Like, maybe they might care if they die like right at the end, but there's no real long-lasting effect of it. So that's why the rounds are only 3 minutes. And it's just designed around the idea of chaos. And there's a lot of fun little game design things I've learned, like Disaster Star has some really manipulative design that kind of just manipulates players into getting each other killed. Like, one general rule that the game has is that the only way the game is allowed to harm you directly is through the disasters. That's the only way the game is allowed to try and kill you. The items, yes, the items can kill you, but they can't kill you by themselves. Someone has to use them. That's why, like, the fake item, you have to pick it up and then put it back down for it to actually become an actual fake item. But let's say you find a knockback sword lying around and you pick it up. Oh, I have an item. I want to use it, and then you see, oh look, your friend little Timmy here is on the cliff. I'm going to do. I have this thing. I'm just gonna hit him off. Bye. I have no incentive to kill you, but it was funny. That's why PvP is on the whole time. And swappage is brilliant. I love it a lot. But I will warn that it is a 25% chance per player that it'll fail to swap you, so you could end up just jumping off the cliff and just plummet to your death. There's it's just really fun. And this is also why testing is really important, because the players might not react and have the same knowledge of the game that you do. So it's a good idea to test to know how players react and how they're going to respond to how you've set it up, especially when it comes to teaching them how the game works. I had to go through a lot of this with Beastly Betrayal, and it's also just a matter of seeing if they find it fun and they can understand it. I mean, I love making Disaster Star. It was a blast to play. And then Beastly Betrayal in the map testing Discord, we kind of just started abusing the testing bars with Beastly Betrayal because we just keep playing it. We did. We really did. It was a lot of fun as I made that game. And that was me making it. And yeah, like, it's just a matter of figuring out what's fun that feels fair, even though Disaster Star is, as I described, Disaster Star is just consistently inconsistent. It can just screw you over, and you do not care a lot of the time. And I find that an interesting accomplishment, that it's almost like I've made bad game design good.
I mean, you're making unfair maps sound fair. I mean, you're doing a good job at that.
Making unfair maps sound less unfair.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Can you call that an achievement? Or...
So I call that an achievement that I've made a game that's so unfair but still so fun that I still die.
Yeah,
quite often.
So we are going to have to come to a close soon. So we're going to just speed through this a bit more. We've not got much, and then I'll be asking stream if they have any questions for us, and I'll be looking through those. So we're going to ask a question. Have you made any? This is for everybody, by the way. Have you made any maps recently or in the past that have overperformed unexpectedly? So maps that you thought, I released this, but it's not going to do very well, and then suddenly, explodes and it's the next popular Minecraft map. Anybody want to take a start?
Honestly, I don't entirely know. It's not always that easy to gauge how much reach your maps have had, because like in combination of Minecraft Realms, the Mediafire download link, which is now also that comes off my website that I set up, and then StickyPiston or wherever else it might happen to be on some third-party site. It's not always that easy to gauge how popular your map gets, but I'll just run into randoms that apparently know who Disaster Star. I was playing SCP Secret Laboratory, and some guy recognized my name but didn't know why until I just said Disaster Star, like, oh. It's like, that can happen. And apparently there are people out there that really like Beastly Betrayal, but it's not easy to always gauge how much reach it has, especially on Realms when you don't know how many people have actually played it.
And go on.
That's about it. I'll also mention, but I'm not entirely surprised that people really like Disaster Star, because it's based off a game that people really miss, and it would be great if Grian would play that game, because there are so many people in his comments that are going, "Where is this game? I want this game back." I'm like,
yeah.
But yeah, anyone else?
Yeah, before we move on, anybody else? Okay, go on, Spark.
Once again, games are really hard to tell what they're doing well and what's not doing well, especially with YouTube and Twitch. There are some influencers who will play games, and the games will perform extremely well because that specific influencer played them, and it is because of a result of that person playing that the game does well, and not necessarily because of the game itself. And so because of that, it's hard to decide whether a game is actually doing good or not. And to answer the question more strictly, I made a parkour map with some friends called Parkour Island, and I was so scared of releasing it because I thought the world was going to hate it. And within 2 months, it got 22,000 downloads on Minecraft maps. So it went incredibly well despite my expectations.
mcfilms. Gonna talk about
we'll also
building.
Oh yeah, totally. Okay, so building a quite huge aspect of map making, I'd say, and like you can see it everywhere, right? Like we're literally in an auditorium kind of feel, so it is definitely a crucial thing to always be aware of. When building, however, you want to be very crucial how you want to design your thing, especially game design. Pre-planning is also a very important thing. How I think Jonto said before, piece of paper and a pen always gets you started from somewhere. And yeah, from there you can think of crazy ideas. Sometimes, like how Jayjo said, you can get ideas from just kind of sleeping and kind of just, going throughout your day, and you get all these ideas. But the hardest part about building is executing those ideas. It's very hard, and from my experience, you need a lot of practice. Just like everyone else has been saying, all these elements together are really crucial. They'll really push you forward to becoming a better map maker, I'd say. So from a builder's standpoint, I'd say honestly, if you want to start on building, practice. Practice, practice, practice. I don't know how to say it enough times, but you want to practice.
The more practice,
It's
the better.
so important. Exactly.
Okay,
And of
so,
course,
go
you're
on.
gonna, oh yeah, and just of course, if you're gonna keep practicing, you're gonna have a hard time, trying to get this all accurate and stuff. And oftentimes, I mean, I'd say look at YouTube videos and stuff. That's where I started, honestly, especially with like world edit videos, all that. Especially from Community, great resources. I'm guessing some of you might even know Community now, as she's blown up the last year or so. There's plenty of resources out there, I'd say, and never give up, honestly. Keep working hard.
Don't be afraid to ask for help. Don't.
Absolutely. If you need help,
this process isn't easy.
if you need help, there's
And people
people out there.
Also, don't be afraid to test maps that may be incomplete, because if the core game works, you can still gauge how fun it is. And if bugs happen, well, bugs happen. You know they happen, and you can fix them.
That's right. Well, we are just quickly going to go through one more thing, and then we're going to jump over and see if anybody in the Twitch chat has any questions. One by one, starting Dragon Master, going down the line, so Blueman for mcfilms. Name the map you are most proud of. Quick fire.
Pumpkin Party.
Super Mario Bros. It's not out yet.
Okay.
Rematch.
Harnessing Helium 5, not out yet.
Space Aces.
Street Sun, Disaster.
Sprint Racer.
Skyscrapers.
Was that it?
Yeah.
I lost track. Okay,
You
so
got it.
before we end off, folks, if you're watching the stream right now, pop some questions in the live chat. I am watching right now. I'm looking at the chat. If you have any questions for either myself or any of these map makers here, let us know. We've got one from Redstone Battery. Anybody can answer. Actually, hang on. Who would like to answer this question?
What's the question?
The question is, do you think adding features to someone else's map is a good way to learn map making?
Oh, shoot.
It depends on the feature. If it's just particles, no.
I would say no,
Like if
because
it's just
you
a particle
don't really. I feel like no, because you don't really know how it works. If you wrote the whole thing, you know how it works because you made it, but it's not easy to dig through someone else's functions and figure out how they work.
Yeah. If you're recreating their game and adding to it, that's definitely cool. You're like learning how it works and adding your own twist on it. But just adding something to
recreating
somebody
ideas
else's
is a good
game,
Zulu West
On the
says, can I
opposite-
hire you guys?
How much?
Reverse engineering is fun though. You can reverse engineer it and figure out how they did things.
Yeah.
I would
Question-
actually say go for it. Like
Mm-hmm.
the way functions and data packs work, they're all kind of open source unless they scramble it somehow. So yeah,
it's
you
all on the
definitely
server.
can modify stuff.
I
So
think.
like, don't steal people's maps, but
Oh no, don't
yeah,
steal.
go for it.
I think we're gonna have one
Be a
more
lot of fun.
question and then we'll end off. So one more question coming in from. Let's do this one. It hits Polar. Question is: if you were to try and create something similar to the Jackbox party packs, how and where would you start on making that? So, what sort of process would you take?
contacting me.
Contacting sparkour.
Contact me.
But no, I mean, where would you start on something like that? Quite a big project.
I think that the biggest thing that you would need is good mini games. Like, obviously, you don't want to just copy and paste the mini game. I mean, you can, but I feel like you'd want your own mini game. So you'd have to maybe test out, even just, like said before, pen and paper, practice with a group of friends, just what type of mini game would be fun, and then see what works, and then go from there.
The problem with the Jackbox party game is that it's very reliant on its UI and text, and we don't have either of that on Minecraft, really.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we don't have much control over it.
Okay,
So
we're going to have to
making something exactly is hard. Yeah.
start coming to a close, but we do have time if we want to have one more question, then we'll call it a day. One more. Here we go. Question comes in from, have we asked this one? No, we haven't. H3O Charles. Question. Would you say that learning how to write data packs is a requirement to make a good map? I think whoever spoke about data packs wants to answer that one, maybe?
It's not a requirement, but it's definitely doesn't hurt.
Mm-hmm.
It's not the hardest thing in the world to learn, and it is great, especially when it makes the maps run better. I mean, had Disaster Star running with 50 players, and it was only running on 2 gigabytes of RAM because I had optimized it with functions. I rewrote the whole thing. It's pretty great, but I think functions are a really good idea, but they're not necessary, but they are very, very versatile and very, very stable and helpful and all this lovely things. Use functions, basically.
Yep.
Okay, well, everybody, that's going to do it for this panel. Thank you so much for coming along, watching the panel, watching on the stream, joining in the audience. Thank you, everyone, for coming. Man has been happy. These guys have been MapMakers, Dragon Master, Blueman, mcfilms, sparkour, legobros, Jonto, Flamingosaurus, and Jayjo. Thank you so much, everybody. Enjoy the rest of Cubed, and we'll see you around the event. Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.
See you guys. Quick, everybody behind Happy, let's take a screening.
Oh, and I feel like the stream stopped. Or not. I believe he stopped it.
I mean, the Cubed stream is still in chat. And the call. That matters.
I'm guessing they can hear us.
Hi, stream. Maybe.
Yeah, hi. Hi.
Hello. Hello,
Wave
Cube.
to us.
Hello,
Wave.
people of the internet.
Give us your attention, thank you.
We've taken over the stream.
Yes, it is ours now.
I'm going to make my exit.
Now.
I'm going to make my exit.
Follow him.
Hi.
I don't have the perms to exit.
Oh, I got you guys.
I
Don't
guess,
worry.
like you guys.
Here, I got everyone.
Oh no.
Please
All right,
move
here's
me.
a
around,
TP. TP to
Please
me.
move me.
Send me a
Wait, over
TP.
here.
Let me
All right, who
out.
needs another TP? Oh my god, so many TPs. Send it. Oh my god, hurry.
Is that stream movie yet? Or is it still going?
I think we're still going.
I'm gonna judge
Yes.
everybody's skins from the stage.
Do we
Let's
have
go.
behind the stage now?
Yeah, where's the skin judge contest where people walk on stage?
Yes, costume contest at Cube.
Yeah.
If the stream can still hear us, this is what MapMakers really talk about. Skin competitions.
Who was
Doesn't
the
really
guy
get
that
much better than
just
this.
joined us suddenly?
Ah, dear.
It's 99% of map making.
Notices
I
your
turned to the
amazing
right.
spoiler-free map. Wow, that's